Today we are going to be working on making this kind of pencil holder or toolbox. It's something that I use very often, and I think it's good to practice modeling something that you see in real life. Okay, let's get started. I'm here again with a new Fusion 360 untitled document page open, and to my left here I have our reference image. Just looking at the picture to start, I see that the main shape is a rectangular prism, or this kind of box, so I'm going to start by making that. As always, we'll begin with a sketch on the top face. Now again, we're going to use our rectangle tool here at the top left, and this time I'll tell you the dimensions we'll be using. Click anywhere to release, and remember, use escape as a recap to get rid of the tool. Using the dimension tool, or the D key, we will click one of the sides, and this longer side is going to be 250 millimeters, which is 25 centimeters. For the width, we are going to be choosing 70 for 7 centimeters, and yes, this is looking pretty good, so we'll escape out of the dimension tool and we'll finish our sketch. Next, I'm going to extrude the shape using the extrude tool at the top left, and I'm going to bring it up to 100 millimeters, so about 10 centimeters. And now we're going to be using a new tool called the Shell tool. We'll see it's here in the Modify section. If you can't find it at the top, you can always click the menu and also look down here. Now, selecting the Shell tool, we're going to also select the top face of our body. And now it's going to ask you for a dimension, and it'll tell you it's the inside thickness. For us, we don't need a super thick wall. I think this is about, it looks like somewhere around 3 or 4 millimeters, so we'll go with 4 and enter. Okay, so now we have this base box. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out this shape from one side of the box. So I'm going to click this top face and I'm going to start a sketch. Now we see that we kind of have this trapezoid shape and then a lower area here, so I'm just going to try to copy this silhouette on this face. Using the line tool at the top left, I'm going to click the edge of the rectangle and I'm going to drag it down and roughly make the shape. You'll notice if you place the first line correctly, it'll snap to this edge, and your last line should snap to the bottom edge also. Now, because we want this line to be very flat, we're going to use the horizontal vertical tool at the top, around the top middle of your menu, and this is a constraint that'll make sure it is straight. Now you'll notice here I got an error and it says that the sketch geometry is over constrained. This is something that happens often, and when you're just keeping track of the sketch dimensions in your mind, you might forget some certain dimensions or constraints you had added. Here it looks like I didn't notice this perpendicular symbol. Now the perpendicular symbol means that this line is going to be at 90 degrees with this line to the right. This means that this line will already be straight, so we can ignore this horizontal and vertical constraint and get rid of it by using escape. If that wasn't the case for you, you can go ahead and use this and click the line to make it straight. Now what we want to do is make it so that we can't move these lines anymore, so we're going to go in and add some dimensions. Looking at the picture here, it looks like we have a couple centimeters of distance at the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and add a dimension using D and clicking this line and the very bottom line. I'm going to make this, let's see how 25 looks. That doesn't look bad. I think I might put it up to 30 though. That looks better. And next I'm going to choose this distance. Now this is the distance that's going to be that's going to determine how large our box is. So I'm going to make it a little bit larger, and let's have it around 70. Actually, let's see. We also have to consider that this is going to be the outer edge of our box, so we might want to make it even larger. 80 looks fine. And then our final dimension here, we'll see we don't have an angle for this. Since it's still blue, it shows that it's not fully constrained. So we are going to use the dimension tool and click this line and then our horizontal line. And this will allow us to choose the angle. We can put in some numbers and see how we like the look. 100 looks a little bit sharp. Let's try something. This is way too angled, so let's go. Something like this might be good. I think I'll go with 120. It looks quite similar to this. Yes. So now the next step I'm going to do after finishing that sketch is I'm going to take the extrude tool and I'm going to select this section, the top right section of our previous sketch. Now what I want to do is get rid of this wall, so one way is I can always just drag this arrow back and it'll cut, but another good way to have it stop right at this edge is to change the extent type on the right from distance to object. Now this tool allows you to choose a face at which the extrude will stop. So I'll change the view a little bit and see I can select this back face. I'm going to click it and this will lead to a cut that goes up only to that back face. This looks perfect for me, so I'm going to click OK. And now you'll notice we have this first cutout that's similar to our design here. But we still have a wall on this edge, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out that wall as well. How I'll do that is I'll start a sketch on this side, and looking at the line here, I notice that I just want to make a cut back and up, keeping this wall width the same. So I'm going to use the rectangle tool and I'm going to draw from this top left corner down anywhere, and I want this line to line up with this smaller line. So what we can do here is just drag it up and see if it'll snap. Yep, we see the square and it snaps in place. Now for this edge, since all of our walls were 4 millimeters, I'm going to choose 4 again. And this looks like a good amount to cut out, so I'm going to finish sketch, select the extrude tool, select this face, and then I'm going to use the same extent type, which was to object. Remember, to object helps us cut out to whatever reference point we want, and I'm going to choose this back face and click OK. That looks perfect. Let's see. Now that we have this first cut out, we might as well go in and start making these walls. So since these walls are all coming out from this bottom layer, I'm going to start with a sketch on this face. So we'll do create sketch, and we know we need one wall lined up with this corner. So one thing that you can do is use the projection tool, and this projection tool we're going to get by clicking the P key on our keyboard. So click P, and this will open up the project tool. We're going to click this edge for our first wall, this edge for our second wall, and then we're going to select OK. You'll notice that both of those two things should show up here, and once you click OK, you'll see 2 purple lines that represent these corners. Now this projection tool is a good way to get flat lines and 2D shapes on your sketch which you want to use from these 3D pieces. So what we did right now, just to recap, was we took this edge and we made it a 2D line that we can reference in our sketch. Now that we know where this edge ends, I am going to draw a line from this purple point all the way to the wall. You'll notice we can snap the line to the wall. Next, I'm going to draw a line from, let's reference the image. It looks like this has a border that's on the left side and this one has a border on the right side. So I'm going to again draw a line coming out from this point up to the wall, and then I'll draw another line. So yeah, I'll select the line tool and I'll draw another line going from the wall to the bottom wall and on this left side as well. Now we have two lines, but we still have to decide the constraints for this piece. Just to check, I'm going to use the horizontal vertical tool and I'm going to make sure that these lines are constrained. This error shows that they are, so we should be good. Now I'm going to take the dimension tool and I'm going to choose how thick I want these walls to be. Keeping with our theme, I'm going to have this be 4, and I'm going to have this be 4 as well. But since we're in the same sketch, it'll be easy to reference this dimension, and how we do that is, instead of writing a number, we just click on the dimension that we want to copy. It'll show up here. This is dimension 14, so it says D14 here, and we'll enter. And now, whenever I change this dimension, this other one will also change. So I want to keep it at 4 though, so we'll keep it like this, and finish sketch. Okay, now we can make the walls. I'm going to start by using the extrude tool on this left side, and again I'm going to use the to object tool. However, instead of doing a cut, we're going to do a new body, and I'm just going to choose any part on the top of this piece. So let's see. It looks like it's having some trouble finding this top face. I might be able to do a point instead, so yes, this point worked. So what you can do is you click to object as the extent type, and when you have to click an object, you can try to find a corner or a face. I had better luck with this corner, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to click OK. Now you'll see that our sketch disappeared, but we did want to reference that other piece, so what we can do is go to the left, use the drop-down menu to see our sketches, and it should be the very last sketch that you made. Now, toggling this I button, you'll see that the sketch can appear and disappear. We want to keep seeing it right now, so we're going to keep it on this appear mode, and I'm going to use the extrude, and I'll finish up making this other wall. Again, I'm going to change the extent type to to object, and I'm going to select, let's try to select this corner. Perfect. And now we'll do OK. At this point, you can make the sketch invisible. Now we see that we have the base of our pencil case, and it's looking pretty good so far. One final thing to do might be making this cut in the middle, which I think is a handle to allow you to bring this toolbox everywhere, or this pencil case everywhere. And then we'll go through some other design tips. So let's take the sketch tool and let's create a sketch on this back face. Now it looks like this piece is around the middle of the whole pencil case, so what I'm going to do is use the project tool. Remember, that's P, and I'm going to take these two corners and project them out. Click OK. Because what I want to do is I want to create a line that shows the whole width of this rectangle shape, so I can use it to find the middle. Now, after drawing that line between the 2 points, we can draw a new line at the very middle, which is shown again by this midpoint symbol, which is the triangle. We'll draw a line, and I'm going to pull it straight down, and do escape. I'm going to be using these lines, selecting them holding shift and clicking, as construction lines, because we're not actually going to cut out a shape with them. Now, in order to make this slot, what we want to do is we want to find this kind of shape. So I'm going to go to create and see if they have it. It looks like in the slot section they have a center point slot, which we'll try to use. So click the center point tool, and we'll draw from this point outwards for how long we want it to be, and then we'll stretch it out. To me, 20 looks good, so I'll put it at 20, and I'll do escape. Now, the only thing we have to constrain is this length, so I think one way we could do this is we could just eyeball it and choose how long we want it. So for today, that's how I'm going to do it. It looks like it's not super big, so I'm going to choose, let's try 60. 60 looks quite good for me. And then the final dimension we have to do is this distance right here of how far down the slot is. So I'm going to click this distance, do D, and I'm going to set this one, let's see how 20 looks. Maybe a little bit more. 30? That's too much. We'll go with 25. And this looks good for me, so I'm going to finish the sketch. And now we can use the extrude tool and we can click this shape. And again, we are going to change the extent type to to object. We'll click the back face, and now it'll cut all the way through. There you have it. We have a very basic pencil holder or pencil case. Okay, good job making it this far. For the last tip that I'll show you today, I'm going to be going through the fillet tool, or the fillet tool. Now, if we just hover over it here, you'll see it gives you a short description. But what the fillet tool does is it takes sharp corners and it makes it super rounded. So let's try it on our pencil holder. We'll click the fillet tool, and just looking at the picture, the only super rounded corner I see is this one at the top right, so we'll start with that. I'm going to select the fillet tool, and now I'm going to zoom in and try to select this edge. Okay. Now, by changing this number or dragging the arrow, you'll notice that we can change how curved this piece is. And now at some point it is going to get too curved and it'll have an error for you because it starts cutting into the other pieces. But in that case, you can just decrease this value. I think for me, a radius of 10 looks quite good, so I'm going to keep it at that, and I'll click OK. Now you'll see we have our first fillet, and we have a super well-rounded edge. Now, as a general note, we still have many sharp corners in our piece, so one thing we might do is we could go in with the fillet tool, and we can also round off these outside edges. Let's see, we can make it 4 looks like a little too much, so I'm going to keep it at 2, but this just helps keep our piece quite clean, and yeah, it helps fix up a lot of the edges. If you would like, you can also fillet edges on the inside like this. Looking from this front view, if we do 2 again, you'll see that it very slightly got curved, and that's another good edit to make. Now we can just rotate the piece and see if there are any other edges left. We'll notice this edge is quite sharp, and using the fillet tool again, selecting it, it is possible to round it if you would prefer. It'll make this bottom corner quite nice, but you also don't have to since we already have the fillet at the top. It is completely up to you. Let's just look a little bit more at our design and see if there's any other corners or edges we might want to place. Looking right here, one option is we could also fillet these inside edges just to make sure they're a little bit cleaner. So let me go in and select these and see how they look. Now that doesn't look too bad, but I don't think it makes too much of a difference. At this point it's really a matter of preference, so I'm not going to do that one, and I'll keep it like this. This is our final product.